This is an armor stand in Java, and this is what it looks like in Bedrock. And here are 67 differences between Bedrock and Java that you should know. Skeletons in Bedrock can wield swords. If you drop a sword near a skeleton in Bedrock, it'll drop its bow and pick up the sword, turning into a melee attacker. It's surprising the first time you see it, but this isn't something Java players need to worry about. Skeletons there stick with their bows no matter what. Endermen are notorious for teleporting, but in Bedrock, trapping one in a boat doesn't hold them down for long. They'll just teleport away and leave the boat behind. In Java though, if you manage to get an Enderman in a boat, it's stuck there until you deal with it, making traps a bit more effective. In Bedrock Edition, flowing water will destroy rails, which is something you have to keep in mind if you're building a railway near water sources. Just one misplaced bucket and your tracks will disappear. Meanwhile, in Java, rails are a bit tougher. Water flows over them without destroying anything, so you can build underwater railways or flood-proof tracks. Here's a trick for fast builders. In Bedrock, you can place blocks while standing in mid-air. This makes bridging across gaps so much quicker, since you don't have to carefully edge your way to the end of a block like you do in Java. Speedrunners and PvP players love this feature because it allows some serious fast building. Waterlogged beds in Bedrock come with a strange downside. You can't sleep in them. Accidentally flooding your bedroom means you'll have to dry it out before bedtime. Java doesn't have this problem, since you can't waterlog beds at all, but it does mean Bedrock players have some extra flexibility in their water-based designs. Ever seen a villager sleep in a moving minecart? In Bedrock Edition, it's totally possible. They'll lay down and nap even while zipping around on the tracks. In Java, villagers only sleep in actual beds, so you won't get to see this type of mobile relaxation there. Steve and other skins blink in Bedrock. It's one of those small immersive details you might not notice right away, but once you do, it's hard to ignore. The characters feel more alive with these subtle animations, whereas in Java, Steve's expression stays solid and unblinking no matter what. Barrier blocks are usually invisible, but did you know you can waterlog them in Bedrock Edition? This lets you create some amazing flow-to-water effects that look impossible at first glance. Java players will need to get more creative to pull off similar builds, since waterlog barriers aren't a thing. In Bedrock, you can even place torches on honey blocks. It's a fun detail because honey is usually sticky, but it doesn't stop the torch from being placed. Java players, however, will find that torches just won't stick to honey, which can be a little limiting for honeycomb-themed builds. Fishing in lava? In Bedrock Edition, if you cast a fishing rod into lava, the rod will burn up and disappear, rendering it unusable in lava. However, in Java Edition, the fishing rod doesn't burn up when cast in the lava, even though it isn't functional and won't allow you to catch anything. Mobs have no fear of rails in Bedrock. They'll walk right over them like they aren't even there. This makes building mob-proof railways a little bit more challenging compared to Java, where mobs tend to avoid crossing rails, giving players more control over where they can wander. Armor stands in Bedrock are far more flexible. You can give them arms and cycle through different poses, making them perfect for dynamic displays of your gear. In Java, armor stands are more basic, unless you use commands or mods to give them similar capabilities. But Bedrock lets you do it all in survival mode. If you've ever looked closely, you'll notice that piston rods in Bedrock are chunkier. When pistons extend, the rods are thicker and more pronounced than in Java. It's a small detail, but for redstone builds, it can make mechanical setups look a bit different. You can add some personal flair to your shulkers in Bedrock by dyeing them different colours. Java shulkers are stuck in their default purple unless you use mods, so Bedrock players get more customization here. In Bedrock Edition, you can ring a bell just by dropping an item on it. This allows for creative redstone or prank setups where you don't even have to interact directly with the bell. In Java, you'll have to manually ring it with a click. Rain is far more efficient at putting out fires in Bedrock Edition. The moment rain touches a flame, it's gone. In Java, fire can linger for a bit longer during rainstorms, so sometimes you'll need to put out fires manually, even in the middle of a downpour. Charge creepers in Bedrock drop multiple mob heads when they explode near other mobs, which makes collecting these rare items a lot easier. In Java, you only get one head per explosion, so it's a more difficult and time-consuming process to collect them all. Levers attached to pistons in Bedrock won't break off when the piston is activated. It's a small convenience that makes redstone builds a bit smoother. In Java, levers will pop off as soon as the piston moves, meaning you have to be a bit more cautious about your design. Skeleton horses are a bit more convenient in Bedrock. You don't need a saddle to ride them. Once you find one, you can hop on and start exploring right away. Java players need to hunt for a saddle first, adding an extra step before taking their undead steed. arrive. Villagers in Bedrock Edition give you a hint about their next trade. When you interact with them, they show what's coming up on their trade list, which makes it easier to plan your trades. Java players, on the other hand, will have to guess or look it up until they unlock the trade. Think you can avoid damage by covering a cactus with a carpet? Not in Bedrock. If you walk over a cactus with carpet on it, you'll still take damage. Java players can use this trick to neutralize cacti, but in Bedrock, you'll need to be more careful. You can use bone meal on sugarcane in Bedrock Edition, which makes it much faster to farm. One click and your sugarcane grows instantly, a feature that Java players might wish they had as they wait for their farms to slowly build up. After eating a slice of cake in Bedrock Edition, your character will let out a loud burp. It's a fun little sound effect that adds some humour to the game. Java doesn't have this, so cake consumption is pretty quiet there. Sponges have a neat trick in Bedrock. Leave them in a desert biome and they'll dry out without needing to be placed in a furnace. It's a handy feature for players who don't want to waste fuel on drying sponges, but Java players will have to stick to the traditional methods. Armor stands in Bedrock can be used to see through water. By placing a glass block on top of an armor stand, you can create a window through which you can see underwater more clearly. This trick doesn't work in Java, making it unique to Bedrock's building mechanics. In Bedrock, you can use pistons to push tile entities like chests or furnaces. This adds a lot of flexibility for moving storage blocks around in automated systems. Java players won't be able to move these blocks with pistons, which limits how they can be used in complex redstone designs. Falling into the void is never good news, but in Bedrock, the void has an invisible floor far below. You'll eventually hit this floor if you fall long enough. In Java, you'll just keep falling endlessly, making the void feel a lot more infinite. Endermen take damage from water, but did you know that in Bedrock, standing in a water-filled cauldron can also hurt them? It's a strange but useful way to trap Endermen. Java's Endermen don't get affected by a cauldron water though. Want to speed up your flower collection? In Bedrock, bone meal works on small flowers, instantly duplicating them with each use. It's a quick way to gather dyes or decorations, whilst Java players just have to harvest flowers the old-fashioned way. Animals in Bedrock follow you much more eagerly if you're holding food. Whether it's cows, sheep or pigs, they'll hustle just to keep up with you. Java animals take their time, often trailing behind you, making herding them more of a challenge. Ever eaten an enchanted golden apple in Bedrock? The regeneration effect is noticeably stronger, giving you more time to heal in tough situations. Java's enchanted apples are still powerful, but Bedrock takes it up a notch with this bonus. Windows on igloos are completely opaque in Bedrock, letting you not be able to see through them at all, which adds to the wintry atmosphere. Java's frosty windows are more transparent, letting you see through the ice just a little bit. When you die in Bedrock, the camera zooms out dynamically, giving you a dramatic view of your final moments. Java keeps things more straightforward, with a static death screen, but the zoom out in Bedrock adds a cinematic flair to your untimely demise. Invisibility potions have no effect on shulkers in Bedrock. No matter how many potions you throw at them, they'll stay fully visible. In Java, shulkers can be made invisible with potions, but in Bedrock, it's not that easy to hide them. Shulker chests can be created using pistons in Bedrock Edition. By pushing shulkers around with pistons, you can set up unique chests. This trick gives you more flexibility in storage design that Java just simply doesn't offer. Have you noticed that baby villagers in Bedrock Edition have larger heads compared to Java? It gives them that cuter, cartoonish appearance, while in Java they look more proportional, just like their adult counterparts. When skeletons in Bedrock go underwater, they stop using their bows and melee attack instead. This change of tactics keeps them dangerous even when they're out of their element. In Java, they just stick to shooting arrows, making underwater encounters less intense. Activate shields by crouching in Bedrock Edition. Instead of right-clicking to use your shield like in Java, simply crouch to bring it up, allowing you to block attacks while keeping your hands free for other actions. Did you know that you can row boats through narrow wall gaps in Bedrock Edition? This gives you extra flexibility in tight spaces. In Java, boats won't fit through those narrow spots, meaning you have to break walls or just find another route. Motion effects in Bedrock have their own dedicated menu, where you can see all your active buffs and debuffs. In Java, you'll have to rely on your HUD to keep track of everything, which can get a little crowded during intense gameplay. In Bedrock, conduits can be placed flush with the ground, giving you sleek and seamless design in your underwater builds. In Java, conduits float a bit above the ground, making it harder to create that clean look. Swamp huts in Bedrock have an extra magical detail. Cauldrons filled with random potions. Java witches just use empty cauldrons, but in Bedrock, they're brewing up something mysterious. In Bedrock, fishing rods don't hook items like they do in Java. If you're used to reeling in items with your rod, you'll have to change your strategy in Bedrock, where it's all about catching fish, not snagging blocks or mobs. You can create air bubble streams without water in Bedrock, under certain conditions, adding a fun and strange visual effect to your builds. Whereas Java doesn't allow for these physics-defying bubbles, to exist outside of water. No attack cooldown in Bedrock means faster combat. You can spam click your sword for rapid attacks, whereas in Java, you'll have to time your swings carefully due to the cooldown introduced in the combat update. In Bedrock, you can customize your character's height, letting you create short or tall avatars. This adds a fun layer of personalization that Java doesn't offer, where all player characters are just the same old boring height. Minecarts in Bedrock can travel through water. This opens up for new possibilities for creative transport systems under the sea, which Java players miss out on since minecarts stop in the water. In Bedrock Edition, you'll find fewer offhand options. You can't use as many items in your offhand compared to Java. This makes combat and building a bit more challenging since you have to rely on more single-handed tools. Did you know that in Bedrock, fish can bounce on slime blocks? It's a fun and unexpected mechanic that adds some amusement to your aquatic farms. In Java, fish just flop around normally, missing out on the bouncy fun. In Bedrock, Silk Touch works on path blocks, meaning that you can collect path blocks with your Silk Touch tool. Java players don't have this luxury, as path blocks are impossible to get in Survival. The end portal texture is slightly different in Bedrock Edition, giving it a unique appearance when compared to Java. It's a small visual change, but one that dedicated players might notice when hopping into the end. Zombified piglins in Bedrock take damage in lava cauldrons, but don't actually lose health. It's a weird mechanic that doesn't fully make sense, but it's something Java players won't encounter, since cauldrons behave differently. In Bedrock, walking over an unlit campfire whilst on fire can ignite it, saving you from having to use flint and steel. Java players will have to light their campfires manually, no shortcuts here. When it snows in Bedrock Edition, the snow actually turns leaves white, adding that wintry look to your forests. In Java, snow only covers the ground, leaving your trees looking green as ever, even in the coldest biomes. Extinguishing candles with water bottles doesn't work in Bedrock Edition. Whilst you can put out a candle this way in Java, in Bedrock, you'll need to find another method to snuff out that flame. Custom animations and dances are possible in Bedrock with commands. You can choreograph your character's moves, which is something Java doesn't offer outside of mods or server plugins. Fences can prevent portal teleportation in Bedrock Edition. If you place fences around a portal, they'll stop players or mobs from teleporting. Java players don't have this luxury, making portal defenses that much trickier. In Bedrock, when squids are low on oxygen, their tentacle speed slows down, giving you a visual indicator of their struggle. This unique detail isn't present in Java, where squids just swim at the same speed until they die. Unlike Java, Bedrock Edition doesn't allow version switching. Once you've updated, you can't roll back to older versions of the game, meaning you'll need to stay up to date with the latest changes. Dolphins in Bedrock create bubbles as they swim, adding a realistic and playful touch to your underwater worlds. Java's dolphins are bubble-free, which makes Bedrock's oceans feel that much more lively. Spiders in Bedrock can't climb magma blocks, making it easier to defend against them if you're using magma as a barrier. In Java, spiders can climb right over, so your defenses need to be a bit more thought out. Subscribe.